Welcome to Kentucky Football Nation. Well, let's talk about NIL money. I was watching a Big East football podcast, and they were talking about Kentucky and SEC basketball and Big Ten basketball. So I stopped to listen to what they were saying. They had it up on their little graphic that they were getting ready to talk about during a live. So I thought, well, man, I'm going to listen to what they talk about. And they were talking about how easy it's going to be to outspend the Big Ten and the SEC in basketball. Of course, Matt Jones has talked about this. If you guys don't realize this, they don't have football. Only UConn has football. So they were talking about in football, there's 85 scholarships. They don't have to worry about that. In basketball, there's 13 scholarships. That's all UConn, St. John's, Creighton, name the Big East basketball schools. That's all they have to worry about. They said 95% of NIL dollars in the Big East go to men's and women's basketball, and it's mostly men's. Okay, so since 2013, they have won 4 of 10 national championships in men's basketball. They have won 4 of 10 national championships in women's basketball. Okay, so I started thinking about people like us who love football. You know, I don't know how this is going to work. 60% of collective dollars of NIL in the SEC go to football teams is a stat they quoted. Now, hold up, because Mitch Barnhart is not going to release the numbers, okay? He's already said he's not going to show the numbers. Now, raise your hand if you think it's because he's worried about the other teams finding out, okay? No, it's not. If you think that, yeah, if we thought that, we would be gullible, okay? He's not showing the numbers because he doesn't want anybody to know, including the fans. All right, so let's not pretend like we're protecting anything here. If you watched Field of 68 this past, couple weeks when they were in Lexington and stuff, they said they know the numbers, and they know that Kentucky has spent 25% more than any team in the country on its basketball roster. And if you just look at our 13 players, you can probably tell that that's probably right. We went and got Florida's, one of their best players. We went and got Alabama's best players. Okay, so we're spending a lot on basketball. So they said it takes $8 or $9 million a year to be competitive in football. Okay, that's a lot of money. So I say all that to say this. Matt Jones has talked about this, and obviously anybody that's looking at these NIL numbers, it's going to be hard to be good at 2 sports. Okay, Florida won the national championship in basketball. How's their football team doing? They're getting ready to fire their coach. Auburn, Bruce Pearl just retired. Why didn't they go out and get a big name coach? Why did they hire his son? You think it was as a favor to Bruce Pearl? That might have been part of it. No, he's cheap. I was listening to Rick Barnes and Nate Oates. They were, complaining about they couldn't get as many players as they wanted. Now, Tennessee ended up getting some good players, but they didn't get 13, awesome players. And no, they got a couple. You know why? Because Tennessee and Alabama are going to spend their money on football. Okay. Kentucky and Indiana are sort of in the same position right now. Indiana's starting to get good at football. Okay, well, what are they going to do? There's 85 scholarships you got to cover in football and 13 in basketball. Do you want to be good at basketball or football? That's really, by the way, I'm recording this before the South Carolina game. It's about noon. So I'm waiting for the game tonight. But I was thinking about, our football program. How are we going to do this? How are we going to keep up in NIL and basketball and football? It's impossible. You're going to have to pick one. Unless you were a Texas school, maybe. Like I said, Auburn, they're obviously picking football. Tennessee, Alabama, Nate Oates, Rick Barnes, they're obviously told them, hey, man, sorry, guys, we're going to spend money on football. So what happens to us now? I'm thinking about, look, no matter if we keep Mark Stoops or not, you can bring John Summerall in here. You can bring Nick Saban in here. You can bring Dabo Swinney in. Name a coach, Andy Reid. Look, if you don't have the money, it'd be like if I went to the store with $500 and you went to the store with $200. Which one of us would come out with more groceries? Or let's say we bought the same thing. Which one of us would be buying the better, higher quality groceries? You're going to be buying great value and all the off-brands, and I'm going to be buying Del Monte or whatever I want. And that's probably a bad example, but no, actually, it's a good example. I don't know what we do in the future about our football program. This has nothing to do with Mark Stoops. It doesn't matter who the coach is. I don't know how we're going to be good at football and basketball at the same time. And I don't know how anybody else is going to do it. Georgia, we play Georgia next week. You think Georgia cares about basketball? I mean, Randy from that Effin' Dogs podcast will tell you straight up, they don't care about basketball. And plus, they know teams like us are going to carry the mantle. Arkansas, they're going to have to choose basketball or football. You know, we obviously already made our choice. Okay, we're going to spend money on basketball. Mitch Barnhart's, they already tried to come up with a percentage at the SEC meetings, and he stood up and said, no, I'm not going to give a certain more percentage to football than basketball. So that puts our football program in, you know, an almost, well, it's an unwinnable situation. It's a no-win situation. That's the word I was looking for. You're going to have to try and win like we are with line play and running the ball and defense. You're not going to get a bunch of high-dollar wide receivers. If you do, you're going to end up like South Carolina and some other teams that don't have a line, but now you got a great quarterback and some good receivers. Doesn't do you any good. Or it doesn't do you any good to have a good line if you don't have receivers. Like, that's the problem we're having. So we're having the exact same opposite problem that South Carolina is. I don't know who's going to win this game tonight. So I'll post this. I'll try to post this before that game. But look, guys, when they started talking about their plan to dominate basketball, and I'm sitting here thinking, how are we going to stop that? We have to spend at least $8 or $9 million on football. How are we going to every year have the highest basketball roster? You know, I don't know, guys. I don't like it as a football fan, you know. And then, like I said, everybody talking about the coach and the offensive coordinator. Look, man, it doesn't matter what play you call. Football is about speed and power. If I got bigger players, stronger players, faster players, I'm probably going to beat you. That's just the way it is. Odds are I'm going to beat you. So, I don't know. Give me your thoughts, guys. What do you think? Somebody was asking me, will we ever go to the playoffs? Not if we don't spend as much as Georgia and Tennessee and people who are deciding, you know what, basketball is not that important. We're going with football. Unless we do that, no. And I don't know that we will. Should we do that is a question, too. Not, will we? Should we give up on basketball? I don't think so. I mean, part of me says no. When you're as good as basketball. Of course, you think the other SEC schools want us to give up on basketball? No, because we're going to carry. When March comes in January and there's nothing on, there's no football. Guess who you're going to be on? Guess who's going to be on the SEC network and ESPN? Every one of our games are on there. Why do you think that is? Okay, of course they want us to be quiet in football and go away and shut up and sit down and just be good in basketball. Okay. But no, it's just, it made me think when I was watching that podcast. I was like, wow, these guys are spending 95% of their NIL on basketball. Even though they don't make as much as we do, their collectives can probably, not on TV, but their collectives, it's 13 scholarships, guys. And we're trying to do 85, so we're trying to do 98 scholarships compared to their 13 because we're trying to do football. I don't know how it can be done. Gonna have to pick a side here. I don't know. Tell me what you think, guys. Look, we're gonna play South Carolina tonight. Look, I'm gonna watch the game, sitting here at work. I hope we do well. I hope we win the game. I think we got a good chance to. I think it's supposed to keep raining, so let it keep raining. We'll do a live tomorrow night, Sunday after the game. And look, I'm a football fan. I know all the people on my channel are football fans. Guys, you know what? We're going to have to see what happens with this NIL. All the political stuff, and will Congress pass a bill? Even if they don't, will we be able to keep up with money against Texas A&M and Texas? They're not going to care anything about basketball, But you only need 4 or 5 good players, and you can have a good basketball team. Whereas we're trying to get 12 so we can have backups. But anyway, no, tell me your thoughts on NIL. Tell me your thoughts on football and basketball. How do you think this is going to shake out? Do we have a chance to be good in football in the near future? And my answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I wish, like Matt says before I get off here, Matt Jones is right about one thing. Release the numbers and let the people who pay for tickets and watch the games know what the percentages are. Because like I said, Field of 68 said our roster is 25% more expensive than anybody in the nations. And if UConn and St. John's is spending 95% of their NIL money on basketball, we must have spent a lot of money to outspend them, if that's a true fact. And once again, it's just rumored, but those guys pretty much have their finger on the pulse of college basketball. So anyway, hey, listen, let's watch the game tonight. We'll have a live tomorrow night, Sunday night, to talk about whether they win or lose. I may come on tonight after the game. I don't know. But anyway, look, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't hit subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. Please give me your ideas and feedback on what I just said, because I don't know what the answer is mathematically. I don't know if there is an answer. What do you guys think? Football or basketball? Both. I don't know how you do both, guys. I really don't know how you do both when somebody's sitting there going, we know what you got to do. We know you got to have 85 people, and we only got to have 13. Or what I said, 85 plus 13, yeah. So we got to have 90-something players. Yeah, 98 players minimum. So I don't know. Anyway, look, guys, let's win this game tonight. Go Cats.